Nick Hawkins, outside the London Standing West Ham Fan TV, back with the opposition preview here with my good friend Robbie, and this is, to be honest with you, the one I've been dreading all the time. I hate seeing Arsenal come here. They always seem to get the better of us, and they come here this year with us needing points and them needing points, which is never a good thing. How you doing, Rob, anyway?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to the game. You know what I mean? Like you said, in recent times when we've come here,
pretty even league positions. Even in the last couple of years.
I think when we come here last year, like, you lot were on fire, man. You were like, doing great in the Europa League and stuff like that, and we were in a bit of a downer, if I remember rightly. But yeah, we're normally, last couple of years in sort of similar types of positions. But yeah, this year we've been flying and we've been having a great season. And we come in needing this, Nicky. We need this badly, mate. I know you guys, the position you're in, and I like West Ham. I'd hate to see West Ham go down, but we need this win, and you win the other games. You know what I mean?
What do you think about West Ham going down? I mean, we've spoken off camera, so I know your thoughts, but just for the viewers, is there a possibility? Do you think there's a real possibility that we could go down? Because I do.
Yeah, listen, there's always a possibility, right? Because I always remember the famous, that was actually from West Ham, isn't it? Too good to go down and all stuff like that. And I look at the team, and when I go through it, I'm like, how are West Ham in this predicament? But at the moment, when I even look around this season, there's a few teams I'm looking at and saying, how are they in this predicament? I look at Leicester. I'm like, how are they in this predicament? And they could go. You know what I mean? You even look at teams like Southampton with Ward-Prowse and players like that, and they could go. You know what I mean? So any of these teams, bubbles flying around here, any of these teams could go down. So, but I don't think West Ham will. I think that win that you got last week, that was major. I look at the games you got after our game, and I think you got enough in there to get out of it, and I think it's probably a good thing that there's so many teams involved in it that will help you guys to get out of it. But yeah, I think, listen, there's no team down there that's not good enough to go down. Any of them could go.
I've got to ask you this as well, because we spoke about this earlier on in the season. You said I was crazy, you said I was mad. The managerial position. I mean, there's been 12 managerial sackings in the Premier League this season, which I think is a record, to be honest. It's a record. So a lot of teams are sort of trying to hit the reset button, and West Ham haven't hit the reset button. Can you see now what I was telling you earlier in the season? The manager is sucking the life out of this team.
When you said it to me at the start of the season, I thought you was going crazy. Right, because of what he's done over the past couple of seasons, you know what I mean? And especially like last season, you know what I mean, with the Europa League and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, Nicky's been really harsh. But then when I went away, I remember we was on, I think it was on DR, and I went away and I sort of had a think about it, had a look at how you guys were playing, because I was like, you know what, he watches his club every week. So there must be a reason he's saying that. And then I just started to see how you were playing, how
he approaches the game,
and how he's not really got the best out of what you've got. Because I look at your team, as I said, and Jared Bowen, Paquetá, all these players that you've got, Declan Rice, you've got so many good players right across the pitch. And if I compare, I look at, say, a West Ham, and then I look at Brentford, and I'm like, come on, you've got better players than Brentford. But how Brentford played,
Brighton, even Brighton.
Yeah, even Brighton. Even, there's a team near the bottom, Bournemouth. And I saw them come to our place, and I was really impressed with how they played. And you've seen them nick some good results because of how they play. And then I started to see what you were saying. David Moyes maybe is not the guy for these type of players that you have this year. You know what I mean? I think David Moyes is always that kind of underdog manager that comes in with sort of lesser players, gets them going. Yeah. You know what I mean? Doesn't really change his team a lot. You know what I mean? Sticks to the sort of one thing and, gets the best out of that sort of team. I think now that he's got lots of options and lots of really top quality players. Ben Rama, that's another top player, you know what I mean? And he's just not getting the best out of them. So I get what you were saying now. I have to apologise to you because, listen, the thing is, every fan knows his club.
Yeah.
That is the thing about it. Every fan knows his club. But then also, what I would say to you though, Nicky, if you had sacked him, who are you going to get? You see all these clubs at the moment. There's clubs, Leicester, they sacked Rodgers, they brought in Dean Smith. Come on, you know what I mean? So I think it probably is the right thing to keep him till the end of the season, because I do think he'll get you out of it. and then probably next season you look to somebody else.
I mean, I did say to you earlier on, when we lost that 3 in a row before the World Cup started, that would have been the prime time because nobody had really pulled the trigger on their manager then. Our stock was still a bit higher. We'd had 2 good finishes. We've got some excellent players here. We had a transfer window to come where a new manager would have been able to come in. They would have been able to bed in over that month where there was no football.
Yeah.
You know, that was the perfect time. And I said to you then, if we've got any ambition here, this is what we'd do.
Yeah,
because you have to, strike while the iron's hot. The iron has gone completely cold now. We I don't think there's another manager out there that we could get. We couldn't attract the likes of a Pochettino or a Tuchel now. No chance. Before the World Cup, you may have had, they'd have had time to turn it around here and get us up the league. But you've had them troubles with your managers in the past. You need to get that balance right, and that's what we're not getting.
And maybe those sort of names that you just named out is not what you need. Maybe it's a sort of an under the radar type manager that's going to come in here, be given a bit of time, and, like what Arteta sort of had, where it's like, right, this is the project, and in the next 3 years, we want you to get to this. And, I'm a bit mixed with Moyes because he come in to do what he did last year was pretty impressive. You know what I mean? I thought, to get you all the way to Europa League final, you know what I mean? I thought that was very impressive. Semi-final, sorry. That was very impressive. But I get it now, you know what I mean? You do need a change, but I don't think now's the right time. I think they are right to let him see it out to the rest of the season because I do think he's good enough to keep you up. And that's all you want to do right now, isn't it?
I've got to say I disagree. I think a new manager
right now, though.
Yeah, because I just think that the players. I look at this game on Sunday, Rob, and like as Dan said on Box to Box on your channel. We normally have a scalp by now. We've normally beat someone. We haven't beat anybody. And it's the negative approaches by Moyes. Yeah. It's the negative approach by the players. I think that negativity has bled into the players and they don't believe they've got any chance of getting a result. You even see that in the Europa League game last night. You go away to Ghent. I mean, with all due respect, Ghent haven't got the players that West Ham have got. No. And you need to, even when you looked at the Fulham game on Saturday, Fulham have been in good form this season. They was without their best player. He went a little bit more positive and we got a positive result. All of a sudden, it's that shit the bed attitude, we've got to keep it tight. We conceded 18 shots, trying to keep it tight.
In the Ghent game,
in the Ghent game.
All over you,
and they was all over us and we was very fortunate to come away. We do that against Arsenal here on Sunday. It's going to be a cricket score. It will be a cricket score.
I thought in that game, you know what I've noticed in that game and in quite a few games with West Ham, they look very passive. And that's not the West Ham I'm used to, right? Usually, especially at home, West Ham are a very aggressive team. Even when we came here last year, they were aggressive. Bowen, Antonio, hustling on you, aggressive. Where when I've seen some of the games recently, I've been quite surprised at how sort of passive they are. Just sort of, like you said, sitting back, just waiting. I mean, that's what you need to change for sure. But don't change that this Sunday. I mean, I want to see the sort of team that played against Ghent where, you allowed a lot of attacking play down the flanks. I don't think you can afford to do that this week because that's where those are our strengths. You know what I mean? Down the flanks.
By a long shot.
With Saka, Martinelli down the flank, even Jesus interchanging, going wherever he wants. I don't think you can afford to do that this week. But then I think he will. I said it in the preview that we did out over our channel. Does this game sort of suit Moyes in a way in that you will accept a negative style in this game just because of how we've been playing this season?
I think it's a free hit, which I think could play into Moyes' hands because nobody's going to be expecting to beat the league leaders, But the thing that worries me about this is that Newcastle came here last week and it was 5-1. I don't think that told the story of the game, but in all honesty, Newcastle never got out of second gear. And I think they had a couple more. We handed it to them on a plate. We need our players to somehow find the spirit of last season, find that, that dig deep and find that positivity, that hustle bustle, that, get in amongst them attitude. If we don't, and Arsenal score early, as I say, I think it could be a cricket score. I really do.
Well, obviously, I hope for a cricket score, because, we are desperate for a win, especially after dropping 2 points last week at Liverpool, after being 2-0 up. We need, we got Man City chasing us down. There's just no room for error.
That's what happens when you want to be the champions.
Yeah, exactly. There's no room for error. So we have to win this game this week. I think this is a game that we have down as an absolute must win. If we don't win on Sunday, a lot of people are going to be really doubting. Even the players themselves might start doubting themselves. But if we can come here and get a good win, then we've got a home game next week Friday against Southampton, which, again, the expectations would be that we'd win that game. Then we go into the game against Man City, which is a midweek game, the following Wednesday after that, in really, really good stead. Yeah. So these are important games for Arsenal. I'm sorry to say it for West Ham fans, but this game is huge. This is like a cup final, and I expect every single one of the Arsenal players to treat it like a cup final. And then the other really strange thing about it, Nick, is that normally we'd be coming here, maybe we've had a game on a Thursday, and we're coming here and you've been waiting on us all week. But the roles are kind of reversed this time, in that you've had the tough away game in a different country with only a couple of days to prepare for the game, whereas we've had all week since the Liverpool game to be training and getting ready for this game. So we should be the fresher team. We should be that team that's going to be pressing and really, really energised.
I think that could have been a little bit of a negative for us as well. Just not because of the game, but obviously the game's important to us. I think we've got a good chance of at least getting to the final with that trophy.
Yeah, no.
If we pull our socks up. But coming off the back of a positive Fulham result last week, I would have preferred that than the negative performance over again.
And they pushed you as well, didn't they? You had to work very hard in that game.
So I would have preferred that, but it was a bit like last season, wasn't it? You caught us in between the two, the semi-final games.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
So
I remember when we came here, you could see West Ham looked a little, fatigued towards the end of the game. So I'm hoping that's the case again this week.
Oh, good Lord! Let's get a prediction then, Rob.
I'm going to go with 3-1. I think we've been very good in these derbies. I think actually the guys are reminding me that we haven't lost the London derby, away from home this season. We've won all of them without conceding a goal. So I think if we was to beat West Ham without conceding a goal, it'd be like some sort of new record of never conceding no team's ever done that, like play every team in London in a season and not concede a goal. So it'd be great if we could do that. But the most important thing is we need the win, and I think we'll get it. I'm going to go 3-1 Arsenal.
3-1's a very every time I seem to play Arsenal, we seem to lose 3-1. I'm going to go with my heart first. I'm going to do 2 right. I'm going to do what I want to happen, and that's a 2-2 draw. And I think that's the best we could hope for, a draw.
We did that last week, man.
We can't
be doing that again
If you want me to be totally honest and put my, my scientific hat and my analytics out, I think you win about 6-1.
Bloody hell.
I really do.
Well, let's hope science rules out.
Yeah, but
6-1.
Yeah, it would be something like that, maybe 7.
Nah, I don't think so.
Honestly, listen, mate, we go to pot here sometimes. But listen, I'm praying for a miracle. We need it. We need a miracle. I don't think this is, the most important game. We've got the likes of Leeds to come here, so yeah, I think this is a free hit for us, and hopefully that's the thing that takes the pressure off. And if we got a draw, I'll be over the moon.
I don't want to sound condescending, but I do feel that you stay up. I don't think West Ham, based off of the other teams that I see down there, based off of the players that you've got, and I do think with your Declan Rices and that, there is enough in there to it might not be by a big margin, but I do think you're going to be all right here. I don't think West Ham.
Well, I hope you're right. Robbie, it's been an absolute pleasure. Right. I'll see you after the game on Sunday.
See you after the game, man.
And may the best team win.